Tonight, Premier Dan Andrews on the tough decision to lock down Melbourne's hotspots and his plan to drive Victoria's COVID cases down.
Come forward and get tested if you are sick. That's the most powerful thing that every Victorian can do.
Why Australia's defence capacity just got a multi-billion-dollar boost and a shiny new anti-ballistic missile shield.
It's been 6 months since the bushfires devastated the New South Wales town of Cobargo. So how is the town recovering?
And actor Dev Patel charms Rachel, or Rachel charms Dev Patel.
Mush it around like that and still look good.
You're way more presentable than I do.
Look, we're not sure, but we're here for it. This is The Project.
Turn the heat down on your monitor. Good evening. Welcome to The Project. And it's good that Rachel Corbett's taken a break from the ironing to join us. How are you, Rach?
Tell you what, how the mighty have fallen. I've gone from chatting to Dev Patel to sitting behind an ironing board. Have a look at this.
I'm glad there's an ironing...
Oh no, I've buggered it up. I need to drop it down. Things are grim here.
I'm glad there's an ironing board there. Otherwise, Walid's intro is really sexist. Rachel's taking a break from the ironing board to join us on the show.
Taking a break from the ironing. Maybe it was just factual.
You knew you were walking a fine line. You just managed to get there. All right, well, in 2018, the National Redress Scheme was launched to provide support for victims of institutional child abuse. But 6 groups, including the Jehovah's Witnesses, have refused to sign up. Now the government says that could cost them.
The government was clear. Organisations named in the Royal Commission into Institutional Responses to Child Abuse had until yesterday to sign up to the National Redress Scheme. Those that failed were told they could risk their charitable status and government funding would cease.
Anne Ruston and I are not kidding. We expect people to sign up, and if you don't want to sign up, then I won't be signing any cheques.
Jehovah's Witness survivors weren't surprised, but they were gutted. They're traumatised. They're upset.
As of yesterday, 380 organisations had either signed up or signalled their intention to sign up, but 6 groups had not. The Australian Air League, Boys Brigade New South Wales, Fairbridge Society, Lakes Entrance Pony Club, Pinja Communications and the Jehovah's Witnesses. And today they found themselves named and shamed.
These organisations denied the 55 survivors who have applications against these institutions the redress that they deserve.
In a statement, the Jehovah's Witnesses told us they have responded and will continue to respond directly to individual claims for redress in a caring, fair and principled manner.
What they actually do is they silence them through extreme shunning. And what that means is they cut them off from their family, from their friends. If they're working with the Jehovah's Witness, they may even lose their job.
But many want the government to go even further.
This scheme is designed and run to basically minimise the financial harm to institutions at the same time as further punishing and re-traumatising the victims. And it's just not good enough.
Senator Anne Ruston is the Minister for Families and Social Services and she joins us now. Minister, will the Jehovah's Witnesses and the other organisations now lose their charitable status?
Well, certainly it's something that we are prepared to consider and we're in the process of working through, all of the technical details. It's not quite as simple as it would seem on the surface, but it is something that we are very, very keen to pursue. Today, I actually did announce that any of these organisations will no longer be eligible for Commonwealth government funding going forward. And we're certainly looking at ways that we can use their favourable taxation status to further draw to their attention the error of their ways in not joining the redress scheme.
So there are 6 organisations that are refusing to sign on, at least at this point. That corresponds to 55 applications which are now in limbo. What happens to those people who are making those applications?
Well, one of the really great pieces of news I can actually advise your show tonight is that one of those 6 organisations has actually decided today to reverse their decision and they're now intending to join the scheme, which is great news, and hopefully the other 5 organisations will do similarly and we'll be able to get the immediate redress to the people
Can I just hold you there? Which organisation is that, by the way, just so we're clear?
Australian Air League has made the decision today to join the scheme, which is great news. But equally, there are still 5 other organisations that haven't agreed to join, and as you rightly point out, there are applications against those organisations, and that means they're survivors who today would have been a very dark day for those survivors. So next week I'll be meeting with the state and territory ministers who are part of make up the redress board, and I will be discussing with them how we can make sure that we make good for these people who find themselves in this situation today.
Minister, there are people who say the scheme itself is insufficient. Do you have any plans to improve it?
Well, look, certainly this has been a very difficult scheme to stand up. I don't think anybody's shying away from that. It's been very complex. It was voluntary. Equally, some of the applications that we received were particularly complex. In fact, 75% of the applications we've received have named more than one institution in those applications. But part of the process of getting to this 2-year stage and naming people today is also the undertaking of a review. And we want to have a look at what's working and what's not working, have a look at what we can improve on, and that will be a matter for discussion with the redress board as soon as we're able to receive that 2-year review. We're always open to progressive and improvements to the scheme.
Minister Ruston, thanks for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
All right, time now for a break. We'll see you on the other side.
Coming up, why the road to recovery has a long way to go for Cobargo locals devastated by bushfires. And meet the man who graduated with a master's in being a real-life ninja. You're watching The Project. Well, we're here. Anyway, welcome back to The Project.
Time now for more of today's top stories. Restrictions in New South Wales have eased today, including some rules for pubs, cafes, restaurants and stadiums. But the state is battling a small spike of 14 new cases, all of them in hotel quarantine. And it's warning people from Victoria's hotspots not to visit or face hefty punishment.
It could be an $11,000 fine or a 6-month jail sentence. Victorians right now from those hotspots are not welcome in New South Wales.
Victoria's recorded another 73 coronavirus infections today, and they include the state's single biggest increase in community transmission of 20 cases. 36 Melbourne suburbs will be back in lockdown as of late tonight, and extensive testing continues in those hotspots.
I know and understand that this will be deeply inconvenient, it'll be frustrating, it'll be very challenging, but ultimately, if I didn't shut down those postcodes, I'd be shutting down all postcodes.
Ben Overman is an Airport West resident who is about to go into lockdown at 11:59 tonight, and he joins us now. Ben, it's a tough break for you. How do you feel about another lockdown?
Yeah, it is pretty tough. We got the news obviously yesterday afternoon, and all last night I was very angry, pretty much all night. It's been a long time already, and the thought of another month really angered me. I guess the inconsistency of things angered me too. I didn't quite understand why, if I'm with a known case, I only have to isolate for 14 days. But if I happen to live in a suburb that's next door to a suburb that has a case, all of a sudden I have to go in isolation for 30 days. So that's really hard to understand and can get you angry. Obviously this morning I've woken up, it's a new day, and now I'm just disappointed. I've got 2 young girls, my wife. I've got a job in essential service, so I can get out of the house, but they can't.
So Ben, what's life like in the suburb at the moment? I know the lockdown hasn't started yet, it starts later tonight, but is there a feeling, is there something in the air? Yeah,
I think so. I went to my local coffee shop this morning on the way to work, and yeah, it's just somber. It's somber. People, normally are smiling and chatting and, how's your day? What's planned today? But it was very quiet this morning. Everyone was just a little bit shell-shocked, I think.
Ben, Premier Daniel Andrews says you have to draw the line somewhere. Do you sympathise at all with how difficult it is to work out exactly where that line should be drawn?
Look, it's not an easy job. I guess all we can ask is for some consistency, and that, I guess the frustration is that it's not consistent. It's different everywhere you look. The rules are different for different people. One frustration I have is we've been following all the rules. Yes, this happens, but when I get my instructions from Dan Andrews, he follows up those instructions with a threat to find me if I get something wrong or I go to the wrong place. You know, I'm doing the right thing. I don't think I need that threat. I'm going to follow the rules, and yet the threat is what I get. I just don't understand that.
Well, I hope it does go past quickly for you, Ben. None of us envy your position, but we, of course, carry a sense that it could well be any of us next, so we understand what you're going through. Thanks very much for speaking to us.
Thanks, guys.
Gee, it's a difficult balancing act, isn't it? We'll be speaking to Premier Daniel Andrews a little later in the show.
Well, someone else who's been in touch with Dan Andrews is South Australian Premier Stephen Marshall, who said his Victorian counterpart was pretty happy with the resources his state is providing to fight COVID. But how did, I wonder, the two premiers get in touch?
I had a few text messages from Dan Andrews last night. No, look, Dan Andrews sent a message saying thank you for the resources that we are providing. I think he's genuinely grateful for what we are providing, and we are happy to do so.
Okay, so worst booty call ever. But we actually have the text message here. Thank you for your resources, PS Adelaide sucks. So there's still some tension between Dan Andrews and Stephen Marshall. It's still there.
Yeah.
It's still there. I disagree with the Premier. I think Adelaide's a wonderful place, by the way.
When are you touring Adelaide next?
Who knows? Who knows?
Well, meanwhile, the AFL has ordered players in hotspot suburbs to move out by midnight tonight. About 50 players, staff and officials have been told to leave home. They'll be allowed to take their families. The AFL will put them up if need be.
I mean, it just gets murkier and murkier. They have to get out of Dodge, don't they, and go into state, and whether they go to Sydney. Sydney's probably the more likely option because at least the borders are open. There's a bit more flexibility.
Well, that's what this is all about, right? I don't think they're worried about the players themselves breaching a lockdown because they're kind of already in lockdown and they're being tested twice a week anyway. Yeah. It's got to be they tried to convince the New South Wales government to let players who live in those suburbs in, and New South Wales government behind the scenes said no. And so they said, well, I guess we've got to take them out. Yeah. I don't know where they stay now. I mean, that's
well, the players have been told not to look in their DMs when they're looking for somewhere to stay.
Yes.
they're not going to find it there.
That never ends well.
That's a different kind of COVID breach. We are off to a break. More projects still to come.
Welcome back. This is a project.
Petey, you know that I am obsessed with podcasts, which is why I am so excited because yours is out. Tell everybody about it immediately because it's really good.
Thank you, Rach. It's good. It's good. You ain't seen nothing yet. It's a movie podcast where I chat to movie lovers about classic movies that they haven't quite got around to watching. The idea is they watch it, we come in, we chat. I've had Tom Gleeson doing The Lion King. That's P. Miranda. That episode came out today. She chats about The Notebook. Sam Pang hadn't seen The Castle. I spoke to Ronnie Cheng today, who hadn't seen Made in Manhattan. Kitty Flanagan hasn't seen The Matrix. So you come in, we chat, and it's a movie nostalgic. We've all got movies we haven't seen that we're a bit embarrassed about.
I've never met a woman who hasn't seen The Notebook.
Well, P. Miranda is. Well, we got two. We got two. But yes,
great idea. I remember you telling me I'd be the first all those years ago.
Well, you're hard to book, mate. You're bloody hard to book. You really are.
6 months ago today, as Australia prepared to bring in the new year, the people of Cobargo, New South Wales, were fighting for their lives, their town under attack by raging bushfires. Since then, it's been a long, slow road to recovery, and it's far from over.
It's the town that made international headlines over this.
How are you?
I'm only shaking your hand if you give more funding to our RFS. So many people here have lost their homes.
Anger spilling over.
Nah, you're an idiot, mate. Go, piss off!
The pain still raw after their hometown was almost wiped off the map.
It was just a big red glow and it was roaring.
Beloved father and son Robert and Patrick Selway took on the monster and lost their lives.
That's devastating for everyone.
Those who escaped returned to this. Hundreds of family homes decimated. The main street of Cobargo a shell of what it once was. And now...
It's 6 months now since the fires came through and the main street's only just been finished, and obviously there's still a lot of house sites that need to be cleared. It's taking a long time. There's asbestos involved.
As the clean-up effort inches along, many are still struggling to put a roof over their head.
Obviously winter's hit now. One night we had a lady come here and she was sleeping in a car. A family who had a tent strung up underneath a tree. You know, stories of people trying to keep their caravans warm with their gas cooker. These caravans, they leak, they're drafty. You can't live like that for any length of time.
But the next looming disaster has nothing to do with the elements.
I think here now we face a very serious situation of where people will have to deal with mental health issues.
It's a situation which, according to Brian, has seen more lives lost to suicide as locals struggle to cope. COVID-19 inflicting a cruel second wave of trauma.
It's put a hold on a lot of the healing processes that were going on. You know, we were unable to cry on each other's shoulders or hug or just be together, and people were sharing their stories, but that all had to stop. And the consequences, I think, will be measured in the mental health of people.
The virus also slowing the rebuilding process as volunteers who had been helping were forced out of town and into lockdown.
We need someone down here to coordinate things, to get things going, because at the moment we're sort of sliding sideways, trying to get people sorted out, get some dignity back in their lives, and we just need that coordination and boots on the ground that hopefully will happen now that the coronavirus restrictions and the travel restrictions are lifted.
For now, though, they've got each other.
I'm not a grief counsellor, I'm not a builder. What I can do is be open and provide that service for people. Somewhere for people to come, to talk, to have a meal, to chat with their mates, to have a laugh. That's what I can provide.
That same fighting spirit that put Cobargo on the map.
We need more help.
Now crucial as the town fights its way back from the brink.
I'm amazed. I've seen people who've lost everything and yet they can still joke and get a smile on their face, and as I say, they're ready to pick up and pack down in the next scrum.
One of the benefits of a horrible situation like that being so all over the news all the time is there's so much attention that at the time it was happening, everybody wanted to get out there, help, donate food, donate time. And, you know, you always have the worry that things like this will be fun because it takes people years to rebuild. But with coronavirus on top, taking all of our attention entirely away from places and people away who can actually help, some of those people must just feel like they've been forgotten.
It's the ultimate cruelty, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
To just have, you know, two of the biggest stories we've seen in decades, one after the other, and one particular community, that whole area, copping both. Terrible.
Now, earlier in the week, we had a request from a home viewer, Henry, and Henry wanted Pete's peanuts. Well, or nuts, that's what he wanted.
Henry, as in, like...
Yeah, well, tonight, Henry's back with another request.
Hi guys, Wednesday rhymes with Wednesday. So you know what that means, it's time for...
My old Wednesday.
Yeah. You got it, Henry.
It's the best introduction to that segment we've ever
had. It was pretty good, Wally. Let's not go too far. Let's see what's going viral this Wednesday, the worst of the lie, Venti Venti. Earlier this week, I played a couple of clips of the basketball challenge, which was the Or Nut segment, where people try and drink a beer after bouncing it on a ball. Now, this is what it looks like when it goes right. Yeah, you do that, and drink that, and this is what it looks like when it goes wrong. All nuts. That's what Henry wanted. Well, the challenge continues to go viral. See if you think this one goes right or wrong.
3, 2, 1.
No, that's gone right.
Yeah, it's gone right. It's got an alley. Oops. Now, we've seen lots of viral videos over the years of cats playing the piano. It doesn't always go that well. There you go. Get off the piano. That's why there's only one keyboard cat. It really is. And finally, here we have the smartest dog in the world. This is incredible, OK? So he's in his little cage here, gets out. It's a bit hot. Just get a fan over here. And just, there we go. Back he goes in. It's the perfect crime. It's the perfect crime. It's the canine version of Shawshank Redemption. That was...
My old Wednesday.
Very good. We'll be back with more Project after the break.
Welcome back to The Project. If you just joined us, we're joined tonight by Rachel Corbett.
Well, time now for more of today's top stories. Today marks another 73 new coronavirus cases in Victoria. 20 of the cases are without a known source, the state's highest level of community transmission yet. As of 11:59 tonight, 36 Melbourne area hotspots are back in lockdown, meaning more than 300,000 residents must stay home except for essential reasons or face on-the-spot fines.
I drove from one suburb that will be locked down through suburbs that aren't locked down to a suburb that is locked down. So I think that doesn't really make sense.
We were just starting to move forward, and it's like one step forward, two steps back.
If residents from those hotspots are found in New South Wales, they risk copping an $11,000 fine or 6 months in jail.
So the message to New South Wales residents is don't go to Victorian hotspots. Just don't go.
Well, Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews is one of the busiest people in the country right now, but I got a chance to speak to him earlier today. Premier, thanks so much for your time. Another 73 cases today, 42 of those still under investigation as to whether they're from community transmission. Is this Victorian outbreak out of control?
Well, obviously there are higher than acceptable numbers of new cases across those northwestern suburbs. That's why yesterday, Lisa, we made the difficult but necessary decision to lock those suburbs down, those hotspots, on the best medical advice, the most appropriate response. Because if we don't close down these suburbs, I'll be left with no choice but to close all suburbs. I don't want to do that. I want to deal with this 4-week period where the problem is, and of course appeal to Victorians across the state to keep following the rules and to come forward and get tested if you are sick. That's the most powerful thing that every Victorian can do.
The opposition says the outbreak is a result of mishandling of hotel quarantine. Why has this happened in Victoria and nowhere else?
Well, there's been some infection control breaches. We know and understand that very clearly. That's why I've established a full inquiry to deal with those matters. The inquiry will do its job, and that's the most appropriate way to go from here.
But with those hotel quarantine breaches, why didn't you use the ADF and police personnel to keep them in check like New South Wales did?
Well, for instance, ADF staff who are transporting return travellers from the airport to hotels, there was a judgment made that Skybus, and this was supported by ADF, that Skybus were doing that job well. That's not where the problem has been. Judgments were made not to follow. Poor decisions were made not to follow the very basic infection control protocols. We know how wildly infectious this is. There's some suggestion, for instance, that some staff had been carpooling. There's some suggestion that some staff, again, I stressed many weeks ago, had been sharing cigarette lighters, for instance. That's all it takes. This thing spreads so quickly. One slip-up, one breach can lead to the situation that we're in now. But I can't change what's occurred many weeks ago. All I can do is be night and day focused on controlling these cases, bringing some stability to them, driving the numbers down. Everyone wants to go back to normal. Sadly, we've got to find and embrace a COVID normal. We won't be able to do that fully until we get on top of these outbreaks in the northwest of the city.
Well, let's have a look at some of those complications and confusion that arise from having just 10 postcodes locked down. We've got neighbours on opposite sides of the street, one half of which is locked down, the other isn't. How do people get around that?
Well, I think the first point to make is whenever you draw a line on a map, whenever you follow public health advice that says this is where the problem is, therefore you need to act locally and proportionally to that problem, you're always going to finish up with people on either side of that line. The postcodes were chosen by our public health experts as the most definitive boundaries. I don't rule out adding other postcodes in if we see further unacceptably high levels of community transmission or more cases. And what's more, Lisa, the point was made very clearly. If you don't shut these down, you'll be shutting down every postcode. And I just don't think we want to get to that point.
How high would numbers have to be in 4 weeks' time for you to decide to completely shut down Victoria?
Well, it would be based on a local policy response, a local public health response. So it's all about individual suburbs, individual cases, clusters of cases, the amount of community transmission. Those unknown cases are the most concerning to us. When that first case where you can track it, which is known as the index case, if we can find those, then it's a very different challenge. You can lock that down quite quickly. When it's moving through the community and you can't trace it back to where it started, that's when you've got a really significant problem. We have that problem now. We've got a plan to deal with it. I don't want to forecast where we're going to be in 4 weeks. I'm just being upfront. I can't rule out that we have to go further. And that is, I think, an appeal to all Victorians to follow the rules. Don't go out if you're sick. Get tested if you're sick. If someone knocks on your door and says, I've got a test kit for you, your only answer should be yes.
Is it time for you to make testing mandatory, that people just cannot refuse to be tested?
Well, a couple of points. It's very disappointing whenever someone says no to a test. I think there's a couple of things you've got to do. You've got to understand perhaps why that's the answer. I think that there might be some people that don't have access to pay, whether it be sick pay or holiday pay. Their economic circumstances might be very uncertain, and the notion of having 2 days away from work while you wait for your test result may be a big challenge. That's why we've put in place essentially a no questions asked hardship payment, a $1,500 payment to deal with that as perhaps a disincentive to getting tested. Beyond that, there'll be many different reasons. I've got my public health experts trying to analyse the data from people who've said no. I think you've got to be careful here though, Lisa. If I've got to have a police officer standing beside every public health worker who's going door to door to take tests, because they're the only ones that can enforce those sorts of orders, then that will limit our tests, the overall number of tests that we can get done. That's less data. That makes it harder for us to have an appropriate public health response. The final point I'd make too, if you make this too onerous, and I know it's very tempting because it's deeply frustrating that many people, not many, but it's certainly a large number of people are saying no. If you make it too onerous, then they simply won't answer the door, Lisa. So this is very challenging. And if there was one rule or one policy change that would deal with all of these issues and make things perfect, of course we would do that. But it's a little more complex than it sometimes seems.
What's your take on the New South Wales fines and proposed jail time? Is $11,000 or 6 months jail time a bit heavy-handed?
Oh, look, I've had many conversations with Gladys, with Anastasia, with Stephen, with all of my First Minister colleagues, the Prime Minister included. What other states do is a matter for them. I'm very grateful for the help they're giving us, just as we help other states during fires and floods. This is a public health bushfire. We need to contain it first, then put it out. That's our strategy, and it's made stronger and better because all of us are working together. Beyond that, I'll leave it to other states to explain their language and what they've done. I'm not interested in getting in that. I'm absolutely focused on delivering our strategy, these suburban lockdowns, to bring stability and to drive these numbers down. These are difficult times, but every Victorian's doing it tough, and particularly can I send a message to every one of those people in those 10 postcodes. We've done this because we have to, not to punish people in those postcodes, but to protect them and to protect all Victorian families. We'll get through this together. We'll deal with this challenge, and then we'll be able to get back to that journey towards a COVID normal, the easing, the opening up, and learning, all of us, to live with this virus, because we're going to have to for months and months to come. There's no vaccine anytime soon, and until that arrives, this is going to be part of our life.
Premier, I know everyone across the country wishes you well in flattening that curve. Thanks very much for your time.
Thanks very much for your time.
Jeez, he has got a tough job. And there is no perfect solution. There's nothing you can do where everybody's going to say, yes, this is great. There are going to be some people that are really frustrated and find it unfair. Great point, though, about the people who might not be taking the test because they can't take the 2 days off work and having that hardship payment available, because that's a huge consideration for people. Yeah, because you've got to factor in there'd be people who would have no reason to take the test other than someone's come to ask them. So they don't feel sick, they've got no reason in their mind to think. So in their mind, they're just saying, well, you're just forcing me to give up 2 days of pay and then it's going to be negative, and then what? Yeah. And it's interesting because these issues come back, don't they? Like when this first started, the unions came out and said this is an issue. You've got casual workers, they're not able to get JobKeeper, and they don't get sick pay, and so there's going to be a health consequence to this, and it feels like we're seeing that play out now.
And we do have to have sympathy for the people in those 10 suburbs. I mean, like, we shouldn't be shaming them about not taking the test, and we should be, like, supporting them, encouraging and thanking them. This is, like, national service. If we can get on top of this in Victoria, then the country's in a really good state.
Yeah, true. Well, to more news now. The United States has stocked up on the coronavirus drug remdesivir. It means none of the medicine will be available to other countries for at least the next 3 months. It's one of only 2 drugs proven to work against COVID-19. And a Japanese man has become the first person in the world to earn a master's degree in ninja studies. Junichi Mitsuhashi spent 2 years studying the history, traditions and fighting techniques of ninjas. He also had to learn how to stealthily climb mountains.
Well, I watched a lot of Ninja Turtles, so where's my degree? I mean, I'm across this.
Listen, you're already a doctor. Pipe down, all right? You've got enough.
The thing is, once you get your ninja credentials, apart from appearing on a certain reality TV show, what would your actual job be?
I also think, weren't there 3 people in the course but only he graduated? Is that what happened, or did he kill the other 2 people?
Well, no, he graduated, but nobody could tell if he was there or not. Like that's yeah. So where is
how good
he?
he is.
Where's Gary?
Was that your excuse for not turning up any classes?
I had many excuses, well, lead. I won't divulge them all. Speaking of impressive physical, have you ever seen a ninja on a beach?
What?
No, I don't think I have.
Well, this guy is a ninja, I'm pretty sure, in his board shorts, doing backflips down a beach. This went viral today.
Oh.
Wow.
This is seriously impressive. I got a little bit dizzy watching it at this point.
Oh, my goodness.
He keeps going, and eventually he brings it home, where he stacks it. It's a big stack.
Wow.
That's incredible.
But props to the cameraman.
I know. There's actually there's another view from somebody taking it down, and because I thought, how's he done that? And his best mates are running.
Are you serious? He's actually literally running.
Yeah, running
very steady.
Yeah, he's very good.
We should hire him for this show. We don't need all these guys, do we? We can just get
Yes, we do.
Tell him after the show.
Oh, crap.
Tell him on air.
I keep forgetting they're here. We're off to a break. More projects still.
Sorry, Sasha.
Coming up, the PM drops billions on a new defence plan. So what message is our shining new missile shield sending? And Rachel goes one-on-one with Hollywood star Dev Patel and finds out how he's coping in lockdown.
You know, I'd taken the scissors from the kitchen and was just like hacking at bits of it. So this is a proper COVID cut right here.
This is The Project.